last year. I think he knows exactly what he's doing.
The opinions and recommendations expressed by Dan are his own and do not necessarily represent the opinions of this station or any of the show's sponsors.
Welcome back, American Family Radio, Financial Issues. I'm Dan Celia. It's great to be here. We're going to get back to the phones, 866-300-9298. Before I do it, let's just get a quick look at the markets, see where they are. They're negative. Everything's negative. The Dow's down 17, NASDAQ's down 8, S&P down 4. So everything negative right now. A lot of profit taking. Listen, it's the end of the year. There should be profit taking anyway. And, yesterday with that 1.5% increase, a lot of profit coming off the table. They're going to regroup, reallocate, rebalance their asset allocation models. These are mostly institutional investors and such, and they're going to rethink what they're going to do here for next year. So a lot of that going on. So I would expect it to be down. I don't think it's anything to do with the job numbers or, rethinking the Fed, although I do think there's going to be some rethinking about the Fed. And there's going to be next year, you can count on this, folks, if the Fed continues this every month, another $5 billion here 1 month in January, $5 billion in February, March, whatever they do, the markets are going to eventually react to that. 866-300-9298. Let me go to Teresa. Teresa's calling us from Texas. Hey, Teresa. Oh, okay. Let's put Teresa back on hold or go on.
Hello?
Yeah. Go ahead, Teresa.
Hi. Merry Christmas, Dan, and
thank you
and your family and everyone.
Thank you. Same to you.
I have a question. I've been in the market for, a while. My 401k's in the market through Charles Schwab. Mm-hmm. And I'm considering taking it out and buying another rent house. I've made no money in the last 2 years on this investment, and my rent houses are producing 20 to 30%. What do you think?
Well, how old are you, Teresa?
I'm 73. I'll be 74 in January.
And are you perfectly okay being a landlord?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Are you okay being a landlord and dealing with all that?
Yeah. Okay. I've had a relatively good experience. I have a cash flow to support them. That's not a problem. Well,
so how much of your IRA would it take to buy a rent house, percentage-wise? What would it be?
Oh, I'm thinking of taking 100% out.
Yeah. And do you have other cash?
Yes, I do.
So you have other investments and plenty of cash reserves, emergency savings and such?
I don't know that how much is enough, but I think, enough cash flow. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. My only concern, Teresa, is it's not going to be as easy to get it back. In other words, selling the property and doing all that as it is to go ahead and do it. I don't necessarily have a huge problem with it. It's a shame you haven't been making money, so you obviously weren't in the right things. But I don't like the idea of taking 100% of it, because the only reason I say that is because I know that as you get older in the next 10, 15 years, circumstances are going to change, and there's going to be different, all kinds of different scenarios that could create expenditures for you that you sound like you're in great health now that you may not be thinking about, and I hope by the grace of God it never happens where you have these expenditures. But I'm a little concerned because I want to make sure that if you do, you've got enough out there set aside that you can handle it. So that's my only concern. So I would say to you, I agree. I'm okay with, look, there is no way anybody, and I say this to everybody listening, look, if you put, I don't know, whatever, $100,000 into buying a home and rent it out, you're not going, and you rent it out for whatever you rent it for, $900,000 a month, you're not going to get anywhere a return of $1,000 a month on that $100,000 for for the next 5 or 6 years consistently every month on that money. There is no investment that's going to do that. So purely from an income standpoint, it's probably one of the best things you can do. I just don't want to see you deplete everything. So I would say just really do a good assessment of your emergency savings, your other cash on hand, your other assets, just to make sure that if need be, you could liquidate something or sell something or withdraw something that could help you out. Does that make sense?
Right. Yes, it does, and I know what you're saying, but I'll have to just think about it. The rent houses I have really consistently done at least 20% a year.
Right.
And I'm looking at not making any money on this money. It's just sitting there.
Right. Yeah, and I can't argue with that because I know those numbers and I agree with you. It is much better, but you've got to think about, if I need it in a hurry. You've got to think about that. I do have, but I have cash set aside and I have all the insurance in the world and long-term care that's the only thing that worries me right now is like Alzheimer's or something. Mm-hmm. But I have long-term care to take care of any, physical or mental. Right. Well, and then you know your situation, and if you assess that and you feel like you're good that way, then I'm perfectly okay with it. You remember now you're going to have to pay tax on all that money.
Yeah, I've already checked with you. Okay. On that one.
Okay. All right, good.
All right.
All right, Teresa.
So
Merry Christmas.
I appreciate your work.
All right.
Thank you. Christmas also.
Thank you so much. All right. Bye-bye. Let me go to Ben. Ben calling us from Texas as well. 866-300-9298 if you want to join the program. Dale's down 21. Hey, Ben.
Hello. I am calling. First of all, Merry Christmas to everyone on the phone.
Thank you.
I am calling. Hopefully, I am selling a house on Monday. It was my main property, but my wife and I bought it 2 years ago and knocked out all the interior walls and flipped it. Mm-hmm. We're looking at roughly $60,000 in proceeds on that house. Mm-hmm. We have also been working very hard. I had student loans more than I should have. I have $50,000 out of 120 remaining. Mm-hmm. And we also need to put a down payment on a new house. Mm-hmm. On the sideline, we've got $26,000 in a 401k that we have to transfer out because no longer work for that company. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to move around a fairly large chunk of money.
Yeah. Well, are you going to buy another house?
The intention is to buy another house. And what we've been looking at as far as price range, the new house, it cost us less in a mortgage for a 15 and the old one did in a 30. Mm-hmm. And it's about a percentage point interest rate difference for going to a 15 over a 30.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. I mean, first thing you got to do is roll that IRA, that 401k into an IRA. Are you working now where you have a 401k?
I have a 401k. The existing 401k is actually my wife's.
Okay, but this...
And she is no longer employed.
Oh, okay, I got you. So, yeah, I would, you've got to open up an IRA account or, if you feel like you can bite the bullet on the taxes, start a Roth IRA account and roll it over into the Roth. You won't have to pay penalty if you roll it to the Roth, but you'll have to pay the taxes. So, that would be probably the best scenario, but I would be perfectly okay if you said, I'm not going to pay the taxes right now. I'm going to, roll it over into an IRA. So I think that's your first, your first order of business. As far as the $50,000 that you have, I mean, were you contemplating using some of that money to pay your debt, that student loan debt?
Yes. I mean, so right now what I was looking at potentially doing is using about half for a down payment on a house and half to pay the debt. And is the house that you are contemplating buying, is it a house you're going to live in, not a house you're buying to flip? It will be our primary residence.
Okay.
So was the last house. We just planned on flipping our primary residence. And
okay.
Then I transferred to a different state.
Yeah, okay. Well, then, I would be okay with taking that strategy of taking 50% and taking 20 or 25,000 and put it towards your student loan. I don't have a problem with that at all. And put a little bit of a smaller down payment. You know your income stream, obviously, and know whether that's going to be a burden to you or not. Sounds like it isn't. And if it isn't going to be a burden, and you still have some emergency savings, over and above this money that you're getting from the sale of the house or you've gotten, then I would be perfectly okay. I think it's a great idea. You've done a great job at pecking away at these student loans. I like that, and I think you need to keep doing everything you can.
So one of the things that concerns me is the student loans are actually a variable interest rate.
Mm-hmm.
So I had considered putting less than 20% down on a house, because obviously banks will allow you to do that, as much as I think that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But putting less than 20% down on a house in order to completely pay off the student loans.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, that's a tough one, because I don't like that variable rate student loan. I think it's very, very dangerous. But let me ask you this: so now you've got a $25,000 left on a student loan. If you do the first scenario that I gave you, do you think in 2 years, 2.5, maybe 3 years max, that you could have that $25,000 paid off?
Unless things go drastically wrong, the answer is yes.
I would elect not to pay the entire balance off and work towards, not that the Ben Bernanke has been right at all for the last 5 years, but he's pretty much indicated that we're not going to see any hikes in interest rate of any kind of significance until 2017. So that's pathetic. I think it's wrong. But aside from that, if he's wrong and it's 2015, then you've got 2 years before they start to go up, and probably another year before that increase becomes significant or something that's going to make a difference. So what I'm saying is I think you're probably in the clear with that adjustable rate. And so if you feel that you can get that, pretty much paid off in, the next 3 years, I would probably keep plugging away at it and put, $25,000 down on the new home.
Okay.
All right. Does that make sense?
And as far as the IRA money, we actually have a Roth IRA sitting open, but I have to move it into, and was looking at doing that.
Okay.
With my other retirements, since I'm over 30 years away from retirement, I've been putting them on an aggressive scale, but obviously we're looking at economic downturn, and this is a decent chunk of money.
Right.
Would you put that conservative, more cash for the near term?
Yes, absolutely, Ben, because you have benefited greatly from your aggressive approach in the last 2 years, 2.5, 3 years, maybe. And now is the time, in my opinion, that you get a little bit conservative, with that now, and set a little bit more on the sideline and take advantage. In other words, take that gain, capture some of that gain that you've made over the last 2 years, and put it to good use. In good use by sitting in cash. And if the market downturns, let's say by August, you'll have an opportunity to put that back to work at a very, at a much lower price of those shares that you've left ride. If you know what I mean. And I think that would be a good strategy. I wouldn't even hesitate. I would take a much more conservative approach on all of it, by the way, but keep some of it exposed to the market. And then I would get at least 30% at a minimum in what, you can figure out which fund that they offer is the most conservative. I'm hoping they have a short-term bond fund available that you would be able to plant those profits and some of the other money, that 30% or more, into that short-term bond fund for the time being.
I know the IRA does. I don't know if my work 401k does or not. I'll have to check.
I got to believe they have something like that. I mean, it's just flat out irresponsible if they don't. So I would suggest that they do, and you need to ask that question. But I think that'd be a great strategy, Ben. Sounds like you're on a good path. Keep plugging along. I got to run here. I'm at the end of this first hour. Thank you, Ben. I appreciate the call. I hope that's helped you. Folks, 866-300-9298. We've got a line open. We'll get back to the calls. You're listening to American Family Radio, Financial Issues. I'm Dan Celia. Please call right now for our Christmas Critter campaign. It's 877-907-4628, or go to afr.net. Do it now. Check it out and make your contribution. We'll be right back.